Hello. This is a VOD review of a Plat Roadhog in open queue. So I'll go and read out the post here first. I picked up Roadhog since I usually main Zarya and everyone is choosing her, and I'm struggling to reduce my deaths. I felt I was getting value, but making key positional mistakes. Can anyone help me and guide me through a thought process as a tank player? This was a close 2 CP match, but I felt like I was being shut down and getting countered towards the end, and that they were a lot better at managing ults. Should I communicate more or focus on my gameplay? Any tips to climb? Name is Jotaro, so I'll probably be watching him from first person here, even though I usually do third person, just because I'm looking at the individual player more. This is 2600 on Roadhog. Let's go and take a look. Well, actually, I'll go and start it in like 5-ish minutes. I want to see if I can set something up with the chat, and if the VOD reviewee shows up, that'd be good to have it here. Let's see, I think I was trying to set up commands, that's what it was. I wonder, I think I have to do that on Twitch. In channel. Yeah, I don't know. So that obviously doesn't work. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's in streaming tools. Well, no. I'll just go and give it a shot. Okay. Okay, so right off the bat, you always want to look at your comp, because that'll always tell you how you want to play. I'll go and skip to right at the start. So, just an alarm, pay no attention. Okay, so right off the bat, we have the Hog Zarya. It's kind of just the way the meta is rolling right now, yeah, at least for ladder. It makes sense because Hog is strong, it's easy to run without too much coordination. It's essentially triple DPS, sometimes quadruple DPS if you're running a Zen's, sort of quintuple DPS because Zarya is kind of DPS-ish. So what you do is you essentially play really close to walls, really conservatively, almost like a CSGO kind of thing in terms of like close holds and conservative play, and you're going for those abrupt pickoffs. Like, you don't have any sustained presence. The most sustained presence you have is the Hog, and by pocketing them with just sheer HP, and that's obviously not ideal because you're going to be feeding ult charge. So we have the Junk, the McCree. I mean, so Moira isn't great here, like in this meta. It means you're going to get a lot of heals, but you don't have the anti-nade against the other hog. Or if they have... Actually, they don't have a hog. Okay, never mind. You don't have any utility, though, so it's just something to keep in mind. You have a lot of raw heals, but no utility. So you guys are probably going to just end up falling behind a bit in ult economy, just by sheer amount of damage you guys are going to be taking and getting healed back up. So... it's just something to keep in mind, I guess. Other teams, comp, you can't see it yet, but when they'll be engaging, it's essentially a dive comp. They have dive DPS, pretty dive-ish support line. I'm assuming Woozy will pick Ana or something like that. And then they have a dive tank line with Balzaria. So your team members vulnerable to dive are going to be the McCree and the Baptiste, because McCree is honestly pretty squishy. So really, because you're on defense, what you can do is you can actually just counter dive and pretty much look for picks on the flankers. So the role of an off tank or flex tank, I know this is boring stuff, but the role of them fundamentally is to control off angles. So you either can contest them in like short bursts where you have to fall back because you don't have the resources, like this is what Hog will be doing. But you want to prevent the enemy DPS from using them, because the Tracer, Echo, and the Ball, because he's a flanking style character too, all of those characters are going to be trying to flank and get behind you and assassinate the McCree and Bap and maybe even Junk, honestly. So your job is essentially watch the off angles, provide a little bit of point pressure and pressure in main, and then just leave it at that.
3, 2, 1.
I don't mind this as a starting... Okay, yeah, so...
Defend objective A.
Yeah. Yeah, so a little abrupt on the hook. You have to do it about 45 degrees angle with the rotation thing. But the thing is I mean, it was fine because it was on a tank and whatever. Like, usually you don't want to do the weird tug thing when it's on a squishy, because you want them dead anyways. And you only need to pull them further in when it's a tank who you need more time to kill and won't just die in the one shot. But it's fine. I don't really love going for the aggro pick there. Just, like, it's not a big deal that you did, but just because you can get caught out by their hog too. And if you hook them from choke, you're not that likely to get the kill still. But if they hook you, you are going to die. There's no one on your team that can support you. So it's better generally to hang out back here or behind truck. This is where you'd hold with like a Ryan or a Brawl. Or over here maybe. This is where you would sometimes play like a Winston. I would probably play here, though I'm not the best Winston. Or even in here. Or I don't think you have a way of getting up here. Yeah, you don't have any sort of rocket jump. But oh, then in here kind of works too. But essentially any tight flank where they have to walk into your sight lines. And the reason you want that is because you don't want to be taking damage and having to use your take a breather and resources from your team before a fight actually starts and before the enemy team engages. Because that means if they do engage after you use your resources, your team is going to be at a severe deficit. See, so right here, you leave the choke wide open. Or, like, it's fine to leave the choke wide open, but I want to see... Man, I have like a sneeze that's like refusing to come out. Okay, so this is why I would usually hold behind truck, because like this is a pretty easy hook, honestly, that you could farm a lot of charge off of him. It's not really your job to go... well, it's hard to say. It's not your job to chase people as Hog, if that makes any sense. Like, if a Tracer is going around and backing out on a flank, or like out of your reach on a flank, I wouldn't say it's usually worth it to abandon your position. Because like a ball on point, either your whole team has to back up to just hold back here, or you have just McCree and Junk pressure him out. So really, this is why I like holding back here, because you can look for the hook right here, or you have a quicker backup to point, because like when you're up here, you don't really have an efficient way to kite back to the point. It's like right here, if you hadn't turned around, you had a hook right there on the tracer. Like you can't let the ball distract you from the important things, because that's the entire idea of ball, is disruption and threat. So the more you're intimidated by the disruption and threat without actually having your team focus them, the more likely the ball is to just decimate your team. Good that you're turning completely around here, though, like on the walk back, because it's faster. So I'm glad that you at least committed to your decision, even if it's not the one I personally would recommend. Good hook. But I don't. Well, maybe we'll see. No, I like the hook. I'll take it. I think as soon as you hooked, though, so it would have been better if it was a squishy, because you don't, like, your team, if you look at the layout, McCree's up here hunting ball like he should be. Junk is over here doing I don't really know what. Zarya's here doing I don't really know what. But, like, there's no kill resources to actually finish off the Zarya. So I think as soon as you hooked her out of position, you probably should have just used the take a breather instead of taking the shot. Because you know the shot isn't going to kill Zarya. And half the time she bubbles, like, don't hook Zarya before you know her bubble is down. And if you do, you should just use the hook to bait out the bubble and then not shoot her. And just back off. I'm just saying this because you drop dangerously low, and it makes things a lot more dicey than I would have liked. I don't mind it. That's kind of iffy aim on the tracer, but I'm not here to critique aim. I would say, yeah, close off one of the angles. So, an important concept here with Hog is trigger discipline. Because, like, here, they're doing a classic dive thing where they take all the angles and map control first. I don't know where the tracer is. Where is she? Where's her tracer? Wait, what? Is she dead? Oh, she's under the brig. Okay. So with Hog, it's really important to be focusing on not hooking too often. I know it sounds really counterintuitive, especially in this meta where hog hooks are everything, but that's the point. Hog hooks are everything. If you miss it, or if you pick the wrong target and it's low value, you're feeding on hog. I hate to say it, but that is hog's one thing, is you have to land the hooks. And that's why it's really hard playing hog for a lot of players in this meta, like myself included, because I'm not a hog player, and I miss the hooks. So I'm not really getting as much value out of hog as I would out of, say, Sigma, who usually puts out more damage at the similar range bracket, same amount of CC, while also being able to shield and be more self-sustainable without feeding. Like, he can actually control angles instead of just contesting. Like, he can hold an angle for a long amount of time, and it takes a lot of resources to pressure out a Sigma. It's like right here, you go for the hook on the tracer. That's a good attempt at a hook. Forces her recall too. But then, tricky thing, so while I like having the off angle and being separate from the Zarya, you go for a hook on the Zarya here. And It's not a bad hook. But then the problem here is that this Echo is really a bigger threat to your team. She had the high ground. She has a really strong off angle. Remember, your job isn't to get picks in main. It's not to... Like, yeah, you want to hold main and pressure it, especially with your secondary fire. But your job isn't to hold in main, it's to close off the off angles. And yeah, Zarya should be doing that a little bit too, because she's also an off tank. But, like, you just have to be watching for that. Like, right here. This would have been the time to hook the Echo first. And then you had a second chance when she dropped down here. I'm not sure. Yeah, the Moira is playing way too wide. She was playing in the open. And McCree is also not playing a close corner. He's playing by an Echo with... Like, the problem with this sight line here is that the enemy team literally can just see you, which is why the ball can just roll in and knock him off. And if he goes here, he has nowhere tied from the Echo. He'd have to roll back. The McCree should have been here or here, probably. So anyways, we don't close off an off angle. Our team has bad positioning and dies. That's just how it goes. I don't agree with taking a breather there, because it just feeds them ult charge. Like, if the fight is lost, and there's no desperate reason to contest the point, then you don't take a breather. Because it's like the same thing as when a Mercy will fly over here and res a dead person when it's a lost fight. Like, it's like, well, yeah, you just gave them 200 extra HP of ult charge. So, usually, the only time I take a breather or use stall abilities on point is when you can either... When you have point control, like if it's like King of the Hill or something, and you actually can get bonus points of control. Or if your team can actually recontest, then it'll give you that opportunity. Because even if you're on the point here, the take a breather wouldn't have done anything really. Like, yeah, it gives you maybe 2 seconds burned off the clock at most.
Thanks for that.
So, main issue in that fight was just, didn't close off the off angles, let them get, the picks and the map control. Because map control is just everything in Overwatch, it's all positioning and timing. So, gotta watch for that. Like, it was okay how you played it, but the problem is that you're kind of wishy-washy and going between the angles and stuff. You're no diva, you don't have the mobility for that. You kind of just have to pick a spot, shut down that angle, and then play from a safe position and hit your hooks. Not a useful hook, because you can't kill Zarya, and they're not engaged, and you didn't know her bubble was down, and you hit the bubble with it. But the main thing is just you can't kill those Zarya, so now you don't have your hook if they do decide to engage her. Like, don't use resources before the fight. Unless it's like literally a easy stagger pick, like if you somehow saw the Ana and were like, oh yeah, I can hook the Ana easy, and then you can stagger at the fight start. I like that. Chain CC the ball. Yeah, see, this is where I want you. Like, play this corner. This is good. And try to... No, you're going too wide. Like, yeah, you got a good hook there, but you don't need to go that wide. Because the problem is the wider you go out from the corner, the more ult charge you leak, and the more resources you need to stay alive.
My ultimate is almost ready.
I don't mind this. I mean, it doesn't really do anything because you just use tab to see what they're running, and they can honestly see you pretty much. I don't like this. So the reason that I don't like it Well, let me change something in my settings real quick. No, it looks like I did it inverted. I scrolled down a little bit faster, but look at this. Where's your team? McCree, on point, no follow-up. Bap, I mean, he's not here to heal you really that much. May, she wants to wall and choke. She doesn't want to wall out here. Zarya followed you out here. Like, this isn't a good defensive position because you are walking into their sightlines. Like, they can go take a long flank here to see you. They can shoot you from over here. Like, they have a lot more options out here. Meanwhile, if you hold in here or in here, this is where I would usually properly play as Hog. Like, you have just a ton of options. Or in here, this is the boxes spot. This is where Reinhardt's play and stuff. Even up here, if you took the elevator during the downtime and positioned up here, and then you could go for a hook out and then up. Yeah, it's all fine and dandy. But, like, you gotta think more. Like, the problem is you're trying to play over aggro with the positioning, but then also, you don't play a Roadhog like a main tank. He is not a main tank. You play Roadhog and Zarya as two off tanks, which means you both are watching the off angles. Nobody's in main. And Hog pretty much is always going to get more out value by flanking. So I'd rather have you actually take the long flank around here and go for a hook on this Echo, and then run as fast as you can back to main, than have you sitting in main directly, feeding ult charge, and getting stuck. This is a pretty good play by them. They used the Mind's Grab. Yeah, see, Zarya here is correctly, she made it out and is correctly positioned. Like, you want to be further back here. McCree is in the open. I guess he's doing it because he wants to stun the ball and fan the hammer, and that's fine and dandy. Moira, I guess, left you guys to die up here. Like, see this disconnect? This is a 5v3, because their Ana's going to be back in just a moment. And then their ball is just distracting two people, probably. Like, you don't win this. That's just how it is. And that's, like, the whole goal of a ball comp, is to split your attention and cause chaos. So what you need to do is you need to be controlled, you need to have the map control, and you need to watch you need to play conservatively.
Roadhog.
Yeah, there is no way you could get out of that, because you're just, like, the initial positioning was just problematic.
Over here. I'm going whole hog.
Rolling out.
Fire at will.
Yeah, I feel like you have a little bit of trouble landing your follow-up shot, like on the DPS. It looks a little off.
Score 0-2.
Let's take a look at that.
Switching sides. Boosting up. Round 1.
Fire at will.
Boosting up.
So I think it's right here.
Grounded.
Yeah, like you shot where she was instead of where you're hooking her to. Like, just practice like hooking just training bots and just having them in front of you and just like hitting that follow-up shot, because It wasn't a major issue here, but it's an important enough thing to do to make sure that you're hitting up that follow-up shot. Like, you can't afford to miss him. You can't afford to let kills like that Tracer get away. Like, I'm gonna be honest, Hog generally will just get outvalued if you're better on other tanks. Like, everyone's like, oh yeah, Hog is OP right now. Run the Hog Zarya, woohoo. It's like, well, yeah. But if you're a bad Hog, and you didn't like playing Hog originally, you're probably not actually going to do that well. You're going to just end up... Like, that's like why a bunch of people are like, oh, I can't do anything on Hog right now on ladder. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's because... Like, it's just like me. It's like, well, because you're not a Hog player, and you're not hitting the mechanical shots, generally.
I'm a one-man apocalypse.
And that's just how it is sometimes. Let's respeed this up.
Let's keep the skies clear together. Hello.
В гостях хорошо, а дома лучше.
There we go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
For the motherland. Go.
I don't mind that you missed that. Like, it's like, I'm glad that you took that hook instead of hooking the Zarya. That was a high value hook to try and look for the junk. Yeah, take the flank, take the flank. It's all yours, man. Good discipline on not shooting there. Yes, take this, take this, take this. You don't have to be over aggro. Nice, good pick. This is how you want to play Hog. Yeah, you get punished for it later, but like that was really good in terms of the fundamentals. I think instead, like right here, or no, yeah, right here, I would have just kept going, because if you loop up here and then around, you're right on their back line, and you would have had an opportunity on the Ana.
Get in here.
But like, this is good. You stay on the flank, you get the picks, team collapse a bit, and then it's unfortunate that just brought, my guess is that some teammates end up getting sloppy, and then the junk picks them up. Not a great pick. It just doesn't get you anywhere. You can't engage without take a breather, so make sure you don't. Oh, frig, that's fun. We tried. Yeah, so now just wait it out. Your team is dead, no reason to feed. You can just take a look, like just wait by window and see if they have their junk. Stare out the window long enough to get a hook on him or something. I will see, that's when you want the tug, but once again, there just isn't the follow-up from their team. So that's where the communication that you mentioned would come in handy, because like with a bit of team comms, you can be like, hey, Ryan, and hopefully people will focus them down. But yeah, like if you look at like pro streamers and stuff, or even just like really high ranked streamers like Harblue, like when they're playing this Roadhog, the amount of time that they wait on using the hook is insane, because the threat of a hook is almost more dangerous than the actual hook in some cases. Like in support, just always have it when you need it. I probably would have tried to take the Junkrat because I'm a bot and misjudge my distance on Hog's hook all the time and go for too long range of hooks. Big, yeah, see, that's big. Oh, never mind. Yeah, good choice. Now, yeah. You should focus the brick first because she has that stun, but that was an indecisive hook. Better to just wait until you know that you can hit one of them for sure. I do it all the time, but use your take a breather. Like, when you're in danger, prioritize take a breather, unless it's like, you're gonna die if you don't kill the thing faster.
Mission. Stay out of my way.
Привет! Физкульт, hello!
Objective A captured.
I would probably
Defense
take
point. Objective B.
high ground here. High ground, right flank, or just wait it out and take left. Ryan is gonna shatter here. You should probably know that because he didn't use it in first fight. Don't push it. Thank you. I don't know why you dropped down. You could have gotten a big hook off the high ground. I don't mind the hook. It's like fishing for like the random kill wasn't too unsafe. Yeah, don't keep feeding into the Junkrat. Like, you don't need to keep spamming here. Don't go in without your team. Don't go in without take a breather. I don't know what your soldier is doing. That is a good pick, though. I imagine you guys win this fight. Huge play by your son there. Good hook. I don't know why you're looking over here. Like, don't let them clutch. Watch the mains. Nice. Yeah, that was really clean.
Score 2-2.
Probably gonna have some popcorn after this.
Initiate match.
So overall, I don't mind like how you've been playing over like as a whole. The hog is always gonna be more effective on the flanks. Like it's just a matter of fact. Like, and just like how any DPS essentially wants to be on an off angle, like in their dream world, or even a support if they could be without being punished, like as an honor or zen on an off angle. That is destructive, like really scary if you can pull it off without getting punished. Like a lot of the times you have like an okay play that's like always the safe play, and that's just staying in main with your team. But then you have the high risk, high reward play, where it's like you have your feeding and your best optimal play, and they're the same thing, but if it works, it's optimal, and if it doesn't work, it's feeding. That's just how it is. So sometimes you have to go, like, you'll never lose if you do the right thing of just always hitting your hooks, always taking the safe stuff. But you're not gonna, sometimes you're not gonna not lose enough. Like, sometimes you need to go above and beyond. I don't know where you're standing here. I assume it was just like readjusting or scratching an itch. Good hook. Yeah, so this is fine. This is all fine. Just move in, rotate in. You don't need to go left here. You could actually just go straight to point, but this is fine too. Yeah, pretty much just land the hooks on squishies, systematically take over point, stand point, and you just speed up the capture. Do you know if Donna's up here? Oh, that is huge. Well played.
I claim this objective.
Yeah, that's actually big. I hope that you don't go in before the team, because if you do, that's really bad. That was really good. Yeah, so now they're going to be on the back foot even pushing it. Don't push in without your team, though. Like, this is an easy win for you guys. Where'd this Genji come from? Hold up, where's the Genji? That's unlucky. My guess is your Sombra is probably standing still or something. It's none of my business. I'm not going to take a look at it, but... you can still probably go in without a Sombra, though. Trigger discipline. You don't get a very good value from hooking the hog here, because if he hooks you in, like, you want to be hooking the hog into your team, right? So that means you need space. So usually you don't want to be the one landing the first hook. Like, you got a hook. Well, no. Okay, that's complicated. Or backtrack. Usually you want to be either hooking them first into your team, or if you get hooked, you need to save your hook instead so that you can cancel or take a breather, because it's not going to do anything to hook them immediately after, like it's just like their hog tried to hook you immediately after you tried to hook him. But the problem is that you can be like, yeah, if I just hit my hook first and pull him into my team, it's all fine and dandy. But it's like, well, no, because if you miss your hook, you are getting pulled into his team. So that's why, like, it's once again that trigger discipline of you can't afford to miss the hook. Like, so you play it safe, pull him into your team if you, like, once your team starts taking the space or whatever, or if you can, wait and then land the hook. But I don't love the tank hook. You live, fortunately, but trigger discipline. And also, like, you're trying to push their main, that's a good hook. I don't like, once again, like, you're under a ton of pressure because you just go into main to get it. You gotta take a breather. Like, this is the problem with main. You have all this damage coming through main, and then you're not getting much done in main because they're all on positions that are hunkered down against going through main. So, like, if you had taken a flank here, you probably could have gotten this McCree for free. Or this, like, if Lucio had backed up. Or even if, yeah, probably that. I don't think you could get through here to hook from here. But yeah, the problem with the Hog Zarya comp is that there's no way to take space except literally by getting picks. And that's why it's essentially an entirely mechanical comp. Like, there's almost no, like, it's a lot less relevant macro. So that's why it's a lot harder on attack and why it's really overwhelmingly strong on defense where you already have the space. So it's pretty much just, what's the best way to get picks right now? That's essentially the concept. And it's like, well, you either flank or you flank. That's it. You don't, because going through main is never the best way to get picks usually, unless your name is Symmetra. I hope you guys get a take out of this with the Zarya and Moira. Looks like your team doesn't go to point though. No, they do. Okay. Good. I like that. That was a really good ult. I probably would have gone for just a hook on the Genji first, but I like it. This is bad. That's really bad. You didn't need to leave point at all, and that jeopardized the mission. You guys lose this, right? Let's find this scrappy stuff. Yeah, you guys lose it. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. Your team loses this fight because of your positioning. I know it sounds harsh, but I'm almost certain that that's the issue. It's like, look at this from above. It's easy. So what happens here if you wait? One, you hook this McCree up here. It's a free kill. And that means your Moira would have lived for this to stand. Two, you would have been waiting here. Hog comes out, like he pokes his head through this door. You hook him into the middle of your team. He gets hacked by Sombra, pummeled to death by Soldier, pummeled to death by Lucio, and pummeled to death by Zarya. Like, it's just like everyone just like gangs up on this Hog, jumps on him, and is like smashing their fist into his back. That's what you want. But like by going here, you're taking a 2v1. Your team isn't here to help you. They can't. It's just a fact. And then you get naded too because it's against the Ana. And then let's look at what happened. So Moira already died because of something you probably could have prevented. I'm not saying you needed to hook the McCree per se, or that you necessarily would have, because you just peeked out and got the pick pretty quickly. But this
10
hog
seconds
definitely
remaining.
would not have reached point. He would have been dead as soon as he touched point because of your team focus. And then you also would have had hook for this Ana potentially. Maybe. I don't know. We'd see. But either way, she would have died probably a lot faster. You definitely would have had a hook for this Lucio, because he appeared earlier. Trigger discipline, you didn't need to hook the Genji.
Overtime.
And then from here it's already lost, because they have a high charge Zarya on point, and your team just doesn't have the focus fire to win it. Like, the problem is, like, that's just the 2 CP effect. If you give them even the tiniest little sand grain of opening in 2 CP, they can take it. Like, it's just a fact, because stall picks they can come in so fast and just overwhelm you with numbers and gradual chip damage. But essentially, like, if you're on 2 CP, you cannot afford to leave the point. The only people who should be off point, like if you're a tank, the only people who should be off point are like an Ana and hit scans. Like, essentially ranged players who don't want to be in melee range. Those should not, like, everybody in melee range should be on the point. That's just how it is. Like Zaryas, Hogs, Reapers, Genjis, Tracers. Like, there's no like, you watch the gates. You just watch the gates. There's no reason to go in for like some aggro thing, because if you get punished for it, the fight's lost. Because you can't afford to make mistakes on 2 CP, man. Like, it's that same high risk, high reward thing. This is maybe high reward if you get the Ana, because then they have no chance of recontesting, but it's high risk, and it just didn't get calculated right, because like, this would have been completely fine. This isn't the wrong play to just stay on point and play it passive. Yeah, and that's how the cookie crumbles.
Round 3 complete. Score 3-2. Switching sides.
With trigger discipline, it's not about like, oh yeah, you need to hit every single hook. It just, you need to just be patient. Like, that's like the #1 thing that sets Overwatch League players apart from just normal ladder dudes, is that they're patient. And GM's away from golds. Wow, this
Attackers
claw
incoming
is
in
really
30
big.
seconds.
Because if you're patient in your positioning and your trigger discipline and your design of your team, like positioning and all of that, the more patient you are, the more likely you are to succeed. Yes, there's aggressive play styles, and yes, it's important to know when to be aggressive, but the patience is the never wrong play. Like, you want to start off with that first, usually. Like, just wait until your team is doing things, and play with your team, or play with your team in body or in spirit. So either be on a flank and engaging at the time your team is, like at the time they're wanting to engage. Like, for example, like if you're on a flank over here and hook their dude here, but your team is down 2 and choke, your kill is meaningless because your team can't engage. So you want to be hooking and engaging when your team wants to engage, or you want to be physically engaging with your team. Like, that's just the fundamental of Overwatch. You cannot take, like, you can play split, but you have to play together in terms of timing. Yeah, you're playing in choke. This is feeding in terms of positioning, because like feeding is harsh, but it's you're not gonna get any value here. You're playing into their sight lines. If they hook you, you're dead. If you play here, you hook them into you. Like, take the map control. There's no reason to let them have any more map control than they need. So usually, like I said, I would recommend playing behind truck. It's an easy, safe spot where you get to hook here, you get to hook here. I would pretty much play with any tank behind Truck, except for Diva, who can play up here while her tank plays there. And even then, I sometimes play on Truck with Diva. Or you can sometimes play back here if you're a double shield or like a Hog or Risa, because then when they rotate, you can literally just rotate to here, and then you just have to watch this. They was wall. I don't know why they did that. Yeah, so now you're behind Truck. This is good. No, see, too aggro. You got pulled in. Like as soon as you're as soon as you get impatient with these hooks, like you can't afford to get hooked. Essentially, like that's just that. And it doesn't really matter what happens here because the rest of your team collapses no matter what, probably, because of the lack of point presence. Like they have they have their hog still. You don't have yours. Yeah, Soldier and Zarya are probably gonna give them a run for their number, but. I probably would have just gone for the Ruger. Well, no, never mind. It's fine to try and stall those. I shall be right back in a moment. I have something urgent that came up for just like 2 minutes, and then I'll finish the review. Alright. Back to business and the buzz of a contested point, or capturing point.
Objective lost.
Bum, 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 bum.
Objective B.
Be too aggro. Don't poke their sight lines before they engage. Good pick. Watching the flank. Good hook. Sorry, I'm watching this really fast. That was an accident. Yep. Good hook. That was huge. Like, once you win the fight like this and have the 2 picks up, it's a-okay to go in for these aggressive hooks because you have the advantage. Just don't give them an opportunity to clutch, though. Like, yeah, go after stagger kills, but don't bite off more than you can chew. Like, for example, if someone is out, like if you have 3 people out here, I would probably not go for the stagger kills because, for example, if Ana slept you here and then naded you, and they have like 2 DPS with the Ana, there's a genuine possibility of you just dying, and then they might be able to engage before you respawn. Since it's on 2 CPD, that's a bit negated, but that's just that. Nice teabag. Don't mind the hook, doesn't really matter. It's kind of a filler.
Allow me to repair the damage.
Good job letting your supports have more ult charge. Play safe, play safe. Trigger discipline, that wasn't a likely hook to happen. This is good, I like this a lot. Yes, huge, huge. Doesn't matter that you don't kill him, just get out. Nice. Beautiful. Yeah, this is what I want to see from your hog. Play the flanks and don't let them clutch. Don't let, like, in this meta it's all about who picks off the other hog first or who gets picks first. So don't give them the chance to get picks. Like, I know it sounds stupid, but that's as simple as that. Just don't let them get picks. Don't let yourself get picked. Just play super safe and it'll be insanely hard for them to break you. Don't... yeah, no, that's fine, actually. I'm glad you would take that. Yeah, now don't peek it again. You don't have your take a breather. Nice, if that was an intentional bait, then well played.
Enemies on my radar.
Yeah, see, like, this is great. This is amazing. Oh, that is unlucky. There's nothing you could have done about that, I'm honest, if I'm honest. That was really unfortunate. Yeah, sorry about that one. Yeah, so
Victory.
fundamentally, your hog gameplay wasn't that bad, but if I had to give you 2 things, it's number 1, trigger discipline. Go for hooks, but don't go for hooks that are meaningless, won't lead to a kill, or when there's a more important target that you know will be coming. It's like a ball that's not a very high value hook when you compare it to a soldier that you know is probably going to be flanking for a visor, or a tracer, you know, is, yeah, sorry about my parakeets in the background, they're just annoyed that they're in their cage. Usually we just leave them out, except at night, of course. But anyways, where was I? Trigger discipline, yes. So yeah, go for high value hooks. Wait on hooks that are uncertain, unless you need to. Like, it's great to get a high value risky hook, but don't take risks you don't need. 2 is going to be positioning. I think you expected this one when you asked for a VOD review. Positioning. With positioning, don't peek and poke before the engagement, or let the enemy, and don't, yeah, okay, so don't peek and poke before the enemy engagement. Don't walk into enemy sight lines when defending. Take map control, use flanks, and above all else, don't let yourself get picked. It's like a pretty regular issue for you is that you would take positioning too aggro, where the enemy team gets better sight lines, and if you get hooked, like, you're out of your team's sight. So, like, if I don't know if how long have I been on the Be Right Back? I swapped off it, right? Did I? I guess I don't have any way of checking if I'm live. I guess it doesn't really change anything that much, but like if I'm gonna go into a practice range real quick for a moment. If I am
I'm a
here
one-man apocalypse.
and I'm on Hog, let me switch this dude to Hog. Let's say that these dudes are my team, right? These training bots. And his team is over here, right? So if I go here and hook him, it's more or less even. He's in his team's view, I'm in my team's view. End of story. Let me reset his position and that's a mission failed. However, if my team is here and his team is here, or better yet, my team is over here, pretend this spray is my team. Pretend that didn't happen. But, my team, if I come over here, okay, well, I didn't expect him to get stuck on that. Sorry, this is a really scuffed demonstration. It'll happen eventually. I'll just make it really easy on myself. Okay. So now look. His team, 0 sightline of his hog, of their hog. My team, full sightline of me. Like, this is a guaranteed free kill. Meanwhile, if I'm poking out here, and I'm wide from the corner, if I get hooked, I am dead. My team doesn't see me, their team does see me. So like that's like kind of the double-edged sword when playing Hog, is whenever you're going for a hook, you're just as vulnerable as them. Especially if they have a Hog too. So ideally what you want is you want them to walk into you, which is something you can do on defense. Like there's no risk on defense, because he has to walk to you to get to the objective. So you know he's going to just walk around this corner, and then you hook him. Like you don't even have to worry about his team. But like what you're doing is you're towing this line, getting impatient and trigger happy, and giving him more opportunities than you need to. So limit the opportunities that the other Hog has, and things will go a lot better. This applies against across all roles. Like as a sniper, don't give the other snipers duels that you don't need to give them. They are favored in those duels because, you should be favored in those duels because you have the defense. Like, there's no reason to give the enemies opportunities that they don't deserve. So yeah, trigger discipline. And yeah, you could work on hook accuracy or whatever, or like those follow-up shots. They weren't really a big problem. You did pretty well. So above all, just make sure you're taking those like passive positions where you're cutting off rotations, watching the flanks, going for the high value hooks. And that's that. I'll probably be, for anyone else who watches this somehow, I'll probably be reviewing again sometime between now and Monday, and then I always do it on Monday for like an hour. I don't know if I'll go over like Overwatch League stuff or matches or whatever, but we'll see. Take care, everyone. Bye.